Hi everyone, it's Nat here. Hope you're all doing well. So I'm on because I want to make some of the elements that I put into my Bookman's journal. I thought I'd make a few more so they're ready to go into future journals. And I want to use my transparency film that I've got here. Now I was gifted some of this from the lovely Beck from Beccarelli's books. I'll link her below. And I just love using it. And I knew that I had seen some at our local Salvage and Save, which is like a tip shop or dump shop. So next time I went out there, I grabbed myself some, and I tell you, when I go out there again, if they've got some, I'm going to grab some more because I just love using it for all sorts of things. So I want to make some slides, and I also want to make some of my negative strips as well. So I will just move this. I thought I'd just show you what I mean by transparency films. So they're the ones that the schools would use in their overhead projectors. I find it a bit thinner than the acetate that I have here, but you could of course use your acetate or packaging or whatever you have at hand is fine. I just like using this at the moment. So I've got a sheet of that and I've put it on my greaseproof paper just because we're going to play with some alcohol ink. And it is messy. Now, I am no expert with alcohol ink, that's for sure. I'm a real beginner. I have not watched many videos at all. I've seen people using it, but I haven't really looked at how you should or shouldn't. So I like to just try things and then look back at videos and see what I've done wrong. So I must have more of an experiment and do some more research in future, that's for sure. I did use it for my last projects and I wasn't 100% happy with the outcome. Now, I did use the Ranger tool with your felt pads that you can get to use it, and I didn't really like the effect because it sort of smeared it a lot and left like your smear lines in it, but that is probably a user issue more than the product. So I've got that so we can use that, but I also thought I might try, I'm not sure how they'd go because they probably soak up a lot of the ink and that, just some cotton pads that you use for your makeup and that. I thought maybe they were worth a go as well. So I thought we'll just have a bit of a play as well. So I've got some, I just got this recently because it's a great colour for it. It's teak wood alcohol ink. So I'll give that a go. That's a Ranger one. And I've got some of the blending solution as well here. So I might give that a go just to, I don't know whether it will help. It says it lightens, blends and removes the alcohol ink. But I think maybe it keeps it a bit wetter as well so you can move it around a bit more. Not sure, but we can play anyway. So let us get started. What we might do is do a bit with this first and then try our little makeup pads afterwards. So I might put just a bit of blending solution on first. Just a couple of drops here and there. Oh, it smells. And then we'll use some of our alcohol ink. Try not to get it anywhere we don't want it. And we'll just start smearing it along. See, last time I went around and it really, actually that's not too bad, but we'll smear it along like that. Yeah, I think that blending solution's helping heaps. It does dry really quick though, is the issue. So once it's on, you don't get time to move it much, but the blending solution does help. That's not too bad. You do see the smears, but I'm not unhappy with that lot of smears. So we'll do half of it with this and then I'll try with those other things. So I think the blending solution's helped a lot. Might go around a bit this time and see what we get. Yeah, that was probably my problem, going around like that, and it creates the smears a bit more like that. So that's still all right though, I don't mind. still a bit of colour left in there if I press down, so I can go over it a bit, which I might do where those smears are. So I think it's just a point of playing with it a bit to get what you want. All right, now I might give these a go and just see what we can get with these. Do I want that side or do I want that side? I don't know, maybe the smooth side. So again, I'll start with a few drops of this. Okay, so that's a lot lighter. I quite like that though. It's a lot smoother. So it definitely makes a difference, I think, what you use. I'm not hating that. A bit of a lighter effect. Just going to turn my sheet around. So of course you can use this to do your faux vintage sticky tape as well, which I need to do some more of. So I'm finding it a bit harder to get it even, but I'm still getting all the lines in it, but I don't mind that too much for what we're doing today. Oh, I think that will do. So it dries really, really quick. So by the time I've got the other bits and pieces that I need for the project, that's going to be ready to go. There's just a little bit there that I might colour up a tad, if I can, just with what's wet. It wouldn't be wet at all, I don't think, if I didn't have the blending solution on there, keeping it a bit wet. You could probably add a few drips here and there if you wanted as well, which is a thought. Though I don't want to waste my alcohol ink, a bit precious with stuff. It's a big drip, isn't it? Just add some little smushy bits. I like the look of that. Looks cool, doesn't it? It's hard to get a... There. I'm just using all the little bits that are in the lid section. I'm getting it on my desk, so I better stop doing that. It's all right, at least I've got the contact at my desk. And I do need to change it because it's getting a bit scrappy, so that's all right. Just going to clean this off a bit. Yeah, that was a bit of fun. So now I'm going to go and get clean up my mess and get that's what happens when you don't glove the other hand, and get the other bits and pieces that we need. Now I have a pile of scraps that I've got here from my suspension files that I've been using in all my projects. So I go to that first when I want to do some die cutting out of them rather than using the whole ones, because I like to keep the whole ones for pages in journals and covers and that. So I grabbed them out and I grabbed my Big Shot and I did a bit of die cutting. So what I used were these film strip dies. So I can't remember which ones they were. I would have the packets here probably. I still need to organise my dies properly. I want to write down a note of what brand they are and that, and the name of them, which I will do when I'm organised in about 100 years, and put it on the back here. So, but if you do a search in Google on like film strip or negative dies or something, I'm sure you'll find some. There's plenty of them around. As you can see, I've got a few here. So I just cut out a few of these big ones and a few of these small ones. I did use the small one in the Bookman journal as a sort of side tuck on the first page and really liked it, so I want to do a few more of those. But I did cut some of the bigger ones as well. Thought might as well while I'm here, so I've got those here. And then I also cut, this is a newish die, so I still have the packet. So I can tell you which one it is. It's a sample die. It's Shabby Basics Vintage Slide. And this one I picked up from Which Craft Do You Do? So you can go to their store, which I'll link down below, and grab this one if you'd like it. I do have a whole heap of actual slides here, which I want to get using. But I really liked the look of this one, and to be able to use it on all my scraps and that I thought would be fun. So I cut out a few of those, a few of the slides, and a few of these little negatives as well, because I did use one or two of those. So I've got them here. Still got a few little bits that I have to push out. And then I've got a couple of the slides here. So they're all ready to go. So I went through. Now, I have so many vintage pictures. Do you think I could find them? That's another thing I have to organise better. But I did find a few, so I'll just do a couple today. So I've got these ones. This one I obviously die cut for something else and didn't use it. I've got this one. And then I've got these two. I think these are musicians, but they'll do. So I'll probably use those on my negatives here. And then I'll probably use these dudes in my slides. And then with these, with these big ones, I'll probably just put the transparency film in them and then put them aside to use in the future. Because what I'll do is when I find little pictures, I'll be able to stick them behind these and that'll look cool and they'll be ready to use then. Or I can just use them as side tucks and stamp on them or something in the future. And these ones will put on the transparency film. And then what I did with these in the Bookman's journal is just stamped on them after I stuck them onto the transparency film. And I really liked that effect. So we'll do some of that today. Hope I'm in frame. Hope you've been seeing all of that. Okay, I tend to get a bit lazy and lean on my desk and then I move forward with everything. So I'll grab my transparency film here and I think we'll start with our negative strips first because they're pretty easy. So with these, I just stick them, it's really hard, stick them onto the transparency film and then cut around them. So I'm just using my Helmar's tacky glue. I'm pretty sure that's what I used last time and it worked fine for these. I used to use my Helmar's fabric or 450, but if that leaks out the sides, it dries shiny. This dries matte a bit more. You don't see it as much, which I find good. And I can get a finer blob of it out. So we just want a nice fine bit of that. You don't have much room to apply it here. So just go down both sides of the tracks. It's probably better if I just go down like that, really. And up that side should hold it all right. And then in between each slide. And then we'll stick that on. So I will just finish sticking all of these down. So they are all of our film strips or negatives stuck down. So then you just go around and cut them out. So I just go along the edge. So there are little negatives. I think they look pretty cool. One thing I did forget to do, because I always forget something, is ink around them before I actually stick the transparency on, which is a lot easier than inking around them afterwards. Of course, you don't have to, though. You might not want the inked effect, but in a vintage journal, I do like it. So, I mean, you can go around afterwards and go down like that in there. I don't think it's going to hurt much, actually, so... But a lot easier to get the inside bits if you ink before you put your transparency in. So I've put my negatives to the side just for now. I've got to do a bit of stamping on some of them, but we'll do that afterwards. Next we'll do these little ones because these will be quick and easy. So I'm going to ink before I do anything else so I don't forget this time. We've got the pictures that we want for those, which hopefully they'll fit all right. We'll make them fit. Now, the way I did them was, did I cut an extra one of those? I don't think I did. Let's have a look at one of these squares. I think that's just about right. I think they're a bit bigger. Just about right width, and then a couple of millimeters longer. So what you can do is if you die cut another one of these, you just cut out the bit. It sort of embosses where you might want to put your picture. So I just cut around that, and that gives me the size that I want my picture to be. So this is about the right width. This is the actual bit that came out of this slide there. And the same deal, if you keep that bit, you know how big you want your picture to be that's going to fit in there. So that's really handy. So that is about the right width. We just need our picture to be 1/2 centimetre around about longer. So we can use that as a guide, since I forgot to cut out a bit because I'm thinking really well today. So we know this picture's going to fit pretty good. We'll get his head in there. So something about like that. So I'll grab a pencil. Make sure we're getting him in there. Oh. And we'll go around and down. I've got the fumbles today. We're going to go down that extra little bit and then cut it off. That will do. So we can use this now as a template for our other one. And we'll get that about like that. And then they'll both be as crooked as each other. I'm just throwing my pencil. One of those days. Okay, chop this out. I find a lot of these pictures a bit boring to put in as they are, so I usually wouldn't keep them. But just adding them to a background like this makes me want to use them in my journals more, which is a good thing. Now I do like to ink the edge of them. So of course they're just out of various books. I think these probably encyclopedia or a music book. So in the Bookman journal I used, I think, one of these, and all I did was stick it on and that was it. And you could use it as a little tuck spot. You could use it as a little journaling card too if you want, but I think I put it up the top of the page. I don't even know if I left it as a tuck spot, but you could. So that looks pretty cool. So we could do that. If you wanted to, you could stick some of your transparency film on top. Whether you want to go over the whole lot, that would look all right actually. So we might do that today since we've got it. We might as well use it. So we will stick our pictures down. Okay, so we'll cut some of our film out and stick it on. So I am thinking I might just stick this along the top and the bottom. Yep. I'm trying to get it flush with the edge there, so there's an edge I don't have to cut. And then we'll let that dry. It'll be interesting to see how much the glue does show up when it's dry. So a bit of an experiment for me, because I was thinking what I can do then if I want is just straight stitch along the top and the bottom. It won't look too bad. Something different. So I'll leave that one to dry. But yeah, we'll see how the glue works. It might not show up that much, and if that's the case, then we can stick down all four sides if we need to. I mean, we don't necessarily need to. Now, these get all sorts of stuff on them, so I don't want to stick all this fluff and dust in between my layers, so I should be making sure there's not stuff on them. This one's nice and grungy. So I'll put them aside to dry. And then we've got our big slides. And again, we shall ink before we start this time. Okay, we're going to have to do the side once we've folded it too, so we'll get to folding it, I think. So I've got the score line there where we do the fold. Just grab my bone folder. got much ink left. It takes a bit of ink to get it on these, for it to show up on these suspension folders because they're so dark. It's a bit better. So these are super easy to do. Of course, we just stick some of our transparency in the little window on the inside before we stick them together. And then a picture on the background. So how big do we need? I'll go that way. Cut that bit out. Whoop. So we're still left with a fair bit, so that'll do a few more slides or negatives for me. Take a bit off of here. So that should be all right. So I'll keep that bit. Should be all right. Now I think I'll put the blob down the bottom. I'm trying to clean it off of my shirt. Easiest to put your glue around the outside of the window. And not too close, or you don't want it real thick near the window itself. I might just push it in a bit like that. Because of course you don't want it going onto your transparency or your acetate or whatever you're using. Move it in there. So that's your window put in. Okay, so we've got the pictures for those now. So they're going to go in like, oh look, he fits in there quite nicely, doesn't he? And like that. So I need to take a little bit of the bottom of him. There's nothing worse than cutting too much off. So he's just about right to go by the looks. And then we've got this gentleman. He'd almost fit in there that way. I mean, he wouldn't quite fit in that way, and he looks a lot better that way. He doesn't quite fit that way either, and when they're sitting up like that, they look quite good that way. Yeah. So with him, we need to cut a bit off of the edge. And the bottom. And a bit more off the bottom. Looks pretty good there. Maybe a bit like what I might do here to make it easier for myself is draw a bit of a line where we sort of want to fit him. And then glue him in. Can I see the top line? Just. Now we don't really need to ink them because we won't really see it. Side line is there, top line is there. Bottom line is there. Just double check. Looks good to me. Got the bottom line way off. Well, we could have gone down a bit more, but I don't think we'll worry. It's there. He can stay there. Okay, get this fellow in. And glue this shut now. Just waiting for the glue to grab. That's the basis of the slide done. So you can see where we've wiped, like the direction that we've wiped the alcohol ink. Something I want to work on a bit. I don't mind a bit of that, but it does help have little splotches and that though. Okay, so we'll stick this one closed. So there are two slides there. So we've just got to trim these now. So if I do it that way, it'll be easier. And there's that one. So you can see the glue just does dry matte, so it's not glossy, but you can see it's a bit darker and stuff. Now I don't mind it too much. I'm glad I did sort of just do it up the top though. So it doesn't bother me too much, so I might just leave it like that. But when I go to use it in a journal, if it does bother me or I'm doing sewing elsewhere in the journal, I could just run a straight stitch along there just to sort of disguise the glue a bit. But I really like those. They turned out quite nice with the film on top. They're probably better with the film on top than what they look like without. All right, I think I'm organised now. This was meant to be such a quick video for me to make, but it's taken me all day. Just been out in the garden weeding and doing dishes. So I went looking for my labels that I used on the one in my Bookman's journal, and I couldn't find them. I know they're around here somewhere, always the way. So I printed out another page, which is all right because I'm thinking of revisiting the Bookman's journal sometime in the future because it was quite popular and I'd love to make some more in the future. And I'll probably take these guys along with me when I do in case you'd like to make your own. So I used a lot of these labels in that journal, and I said they were from the Fragmentology kit, but they're not they're from the Tickets Please kit. So whoops, I might get sacked. Yeah, so they're from the Tickets Please kit, which is this one with the collage ticket background. So I'll link that down below. I did use a fair bit of that all around in the journal. Went really nicely with the Fragmentology kit. So, I mean, you can stamp your own labels, of course, for this, and for future slides I probably will, but for those journals specifically, I really liked these ones. So I'll just cut these out. So I'll definitely use that one. And this one looks like it might be a bit thick, but we can fix that by just cutting the border off around it and making it like the other one. Much better. Bit of ink. You could put a word or something on those. I do have my Timmy Holt stamps here because I was going to do a bit of stamping. So maybe we'll stamp something on those. Just grab my little mat. And I don't know why I ever bother putting this stamp set away. We use it so often, don't we? I always grab for it. So I'm going to use brown for the labels. Where is everything? All right, there we go. Beautiful. So I'll put our labels on. Now, which way do we want them? And which one do we want on which? I think we'll do that. Grab my glue. And then I've got a little number stamp here. I'll grab our stays on for this, I think. It's a bit juicier. Bit of fluff on there. I'll just put that up here. That'll do. And then the last thing we want to do is, with the one that I put in the journal, I did a dangle that had a little tag, and the little tag came from the Fragmentology kit. So I'll probably add that again when I put these into another journal. So I won't do that today, but what I will do is put the eyelet in ready for a dangle. So I use the little hole on my crocodile, and I just go through around about where the little dot is there on the die. grab a little silver. These ones don't set very well, which we might try. Don't know if these ones are going to set very well. The big ones set real nicely, but these little ones, they're a bit different, aren't they? Let's do those ones. Yeah, the big ones set well, but the little ones I always have trouble with. Oh, that one's set good, so it's the other little ones I was having more trouble with, so it must be the ones that I got. Yeah, that one's set good too. Alright, so those are the slides, so they've turned out quite nice. Okay, so the last thing we have to do now is a bit of stamping in. Can't remember what stamps I did for this, but what I will do is just put a bit of paper underneath in case I go off a bit. And what I did is found stamps that go in the squares all right. Now you could try stamping on the transparency film before you stick it to the slide, but I did it the hard way. So actually I probably didn't even use this because I do partial stamping. Or did I? We'll soon find out. So what I did was just try and get the 7 inked up and do a tester so you know that you're sort of getting it right. It's not perfect on that one, but that's all right. I don't care. It's hard to get it perfect, and you don't want to touch them because they do stay wet for a while. So just stamp that off. And then we might put the 5 somewhere. So go over this side. There's the 5. And then what else should we do? Could do some that go the other way. It wouldn't hurt, so we might do this form 1. Only just didn't get one edge of it, but it doesn't matter. It's probably because I was holding it up a bit. It's very sort of slippery, and you don't want to, the transparency film is quite slippery and you don't want to move the stamp around or it'll smudge a lot. That one was better. And close to getting those in. I think I might be able to, if not, oh well. Let's give it a go. Yep. Oh, just got the dots on the suspension file, but that's all right. That's better. Now I know with what I did in the last one, I didn't stamp anything on the bottom one because it got covered up. Let's do a small one number maybe. Got 99 there. See if we can get the 99. Not quite. Better. Might just do a secondary print. Probably should have done all secondaries by the look of that. So I might do the same and leave that bottom one. So we have our negative strips. Have one of the small ones blank and the two ones that we just stamped, which I'll let dry for a good hour, I think, just to be safe. And then we have our two big ones that are ready to just put on the page as a tuck spot or just as an embellishment or to put pictures underneath if we want. So they turned out quite nice. I really like those. They'll be handy to use. So you get quite a bit out of just the one transparency film. I still have all of this left. So I can still make a whole lot of those negative strips or some of the slides if I want out of that. So yeah, you can make a whole heap just out of the one page. So I've got those. Just leave them there. And then we've got our two little gentlemen here, which I really love. And then we've got our two slides, which are ready for a dangle. So that was quite a fun play. I really enjoyed that. I hope it gave you some ideas. So yeah, if you ever see that transparency film around, it's worthwhile grabbing it. Get heaps in a pack. I think I probably paid around $4 or something for a pack, and there's, I don't know, a good, is it 100? Yeah, 100 sheets in that or whatever. So I find that quite reasonable. And they seem to go a long way. And you can use alcohol inks on them or just keep them plain. I love using them for all of this sort of stuff whenever I need a window in anything. So take care of yourselves, be good, and I will see you soon. Bye.